Chapter 165. Emerging above the 52, her squashed eyes, that were covered in blood and flesh, drowned out her gaze. She fell to the ground and her life was extinguished. This scene caused Xu Qing's eyes to narrow. He was extremely surprised. As for the younger merfolk sister who was dying and crying, she was completely stunned. The remaining weakness on her face was instantly replaced by an intense expression of confusion, as though she couldn't believe what she was seeing. This was especially so since the gentleness and love on the Third Highness' face did not change at all as he wiped the blood on his hands. The younger merfolk sister was extremely confused. She couldn't imagine that the man who had once hugged them in his arms and was very close to them would actually smack her sister to death with such gentleness. Had his expression changed when he attacked or showed coldness, she could accept it. However, the expression of this man in front of her was filled with love from the start. This caused the younger merfolk sister to feel an unprecedented wave of feelings. Surely the younger merfolk sister's eyes were filled with horror. As the Third Highness wiped his hands, he smiled gently at the younger merfolk sister. He then looked at Xu Qing, his expression gentle as usual. "I'm sorry, junior brother. Is there anything else?" Xu Qing's hair stood on end. He looked at the gentle and smiling Third Highness and shifted his gaze to the corpse on the deck, before looking at the head of the younger sister who was terror-struck. This merfolk woman's head was clearly deeply poisoned and she wouldn't live for long. Xu Qing fell silent. A deep chill rose in his heart. The Third Highness' actions and words really made Xu Qing feel a chill run down his spine. He had never seen such a person. This outcome was something he hadn't expected. In fact, Xu Qing was even prepared to escape from the Seven Blood Eyes earlier. He looked at the Third Highness' genial face in silence. After a long time, he cupped his fists and bowed to the Third Highness. He then left with intense vigilance. After he reached far away, he looked back at the Third Highness, who was standing on the deck. The scene of the other party smacking the merfolk woman to death with a gentle expression appeared in his mind. Xu Qing fell silent. He felt that the Third Highness was an extremely dangerous person. The Third Highness still had a gentle smile on his face. It was only after he watched Xu Qing leave that he turned to look at the head of the younger merfolk sister on the ground. His gaze was filled with gentleness and deep love as he spoke softly. "Honey, you two sisters are so obedient. Not only did you help me complete my master's mission, but you also made that little fiend owe me one. Not bad. Not bad. I like you guys even more." The Third Highness' voice was gentle, but when his words entered the ears of the younger sister's head, her expression changed and there was even deeper horror in her eyes. Just as she was about to speak, the Third Highness lifted his foot and stepped on the head. Kitsch, the head shattered. Sigh. "In the future, I can only reminisce about your softness." The Third Highness revealed a regretful expression. The followers in the surroundings lowered their heads, not daring to look at the Third Highness. They quickly cleaned the flesh and blood on the deck. Very soon, after the entire deck was clean again, a retainer brought a crystal bottle to the Third Highness and respectfully spoke in a low voice. "Third Highness, those few Tao protectors of the merfolk race have been captured along with the stolen goats." "Very good." The Third Highness smiled. "Go and deliver a message to the merfolk race. If help them suppress the matter of stealing the design of our sex magic boat. And in return, I need an ancient tear of the merfolk royal family. Tell them to send it to me as soon as possible." With that, he took the crystal bowl and drank a mouthful of the nourishing water inside. After handing it back, he stepped forward and walked in the air. His entire person transformed into a rainbow that headed straight for the seventh peak. Not long later, his figure appeared at the top of the seventh peak. In the main hall at the top of the mountain, Old Master Seventh was sitting in front of a chessboard, thinking hard. His opponent was a servant. "You made the wrong move." After a long while, Old Master Seventh looked up at the servant solemnly. When the servant heard this, he lowered his head and picked up the chess piece, placing it on the other side. "Why are you taking back your move? Do you know that taking back your move counts as a loss? You lost." After Old Master Seventh finished speaking, he waved his hand and disrupted the chess pieces. His gaze then landed on the Third Highness who had arrived. "Greetings, Master." The Third Highness' expression was completely different from before. At this moment, he was extremely respectful as he knelt on the ground and bowed deeply. "What's the matter?" Old Master Seventh said calmly. "Master, I've investigated the merfolk race. Although there was an accident in the process, it still went smoothly at the end of the day. They were trying to steal the refining design of our Seventh Peaks magic boat for the Sea Corps race. Well, we caught them red-handed. I also confirmed that the merfolk race secretly built a skeleton tower to curry favor with our mortal enemy, the Sea Corps race. This is the evidence. In addition, there are 4 deacons in the sect who were bribed by the merfolks. The name list is also here. The Third Highness took out a jade slip and respectfully handed it over with both hands. Old Master Seventh grabbed the jade slip from the distance and scanned through it. He then looked at his disciple below. His expression turned colder. The Third Highness' body started to tremble. After a while, he said in a low voice, "There's also a matter that this disciple wishes to apologize for. That merfolk race's son tortured and killed the children of commoners, my 7 blood eyes. His sisters cooperated in this. This disciple misjudged this matter previously. Master, please punish me. The rules can't be broken. Enter closed-door cultivation in the Candlebone Cave for 7 days." Old Master Seven's expression softened as he slowly spoke. Upon hearing the words Candlebone Cave, the Third Highness' heart trembled. He lowered his head and nodded before bidding farewell. After watching his disciple leave, Old Master Seventh stood up and looked at the harbor at the foot of the mountain. He seemed to be looking at Port 79 as he fell deep in thought. A long time later, he lifted his head and looked into the distance in the direction of the sea. The servant at the side spoke softly. "The merfolk race isn't stupid. It's probably impossible for them to brazenly send people to steal the blueprint of the magic boat. The youngest is greedy. I naturally know what he's doing, but he would not dare to falsify the evidence of the skeleton tower," Old Master Seven slowly said. "The merfolk race has been so close to our 7 blood eyes mortal enemy, the Sea Corps race, all these years. Their wolfish ambitions are already very obvious. The deaths of our disciples, who sacrificed their lives to resolve the crisis of their race years ago, were not worth it. Since that's the case, we have to take back everything with interest." A cold glint appeared in Old Master Seven's eyes. Old Master Seven had given out 50 white tokens to disciples he thought highly of. In the cruel environment at the foot of the mountain where schemes and killings were common, he stood out from these 50 wolf cubs. He was the ever gentle Third Highness.